I developed an interest in Anishinaabe, Ojibwa culture because my father was a circuit preacher and he preached at the little church at Net Lake Indian Reservation. So I developed lots of friendships with some of the children there. After I was in college, I got a job guiding canoe trips. And part of our orientation was to meet Anishinaabe that would tell us stories that we could use on the canoe trips. So that's when I met Ira Isham. Ira Isham would come every year and tell us stories, and since I couldn't sing, I told stories instead. And so I carefully memorized all the stories that he told me. The stories often related to pre-European contact with the Anishinaabe tribe. Tales and legends of their traveling from the East Coast, from the Iroquois Confederation, into the area of northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and Ontario. So I became very interested in this, and oftentimes when I'd cross a portage, I'd sit down next to an Anishinaabe man that I'd meet on the trail, and we'd sit and talk, and I'd ask him if he knew my friend Ira Isham, and that usually opened up the conversation so that we could talk about these tales. My novels are primarily shaped by the stories of Ira Isham. What I did is I remembered the tales that he told and conglomerized all of them into a single novel. I have subsequently read books at the Boston Anthropology Library. I've researched the Minnesota Historical Society, and even considered the American Indian exhibit at the Smithsonian, and found that the stories that he told me were actually authenticated by other people as well. The autobiography of John Tanner is particularly interesting because John Tanner was captured by Ottawa Indians and subsequently sold to Anishinaabe. And his autobiography from the 1700s relates to the Anishinaabe culture and explains it quite well in terms of their cultural values. It's very important for me to portray Anishinaabe culture accurately. I have a profound admiration for many of the cultural values of the Anishinaabe. And having grown up in northern Minnesota and many of these people being my friends, it's very important that my readers understand some of the value of the culture and some of the things that are so important to Anishinaabe in terms of a sense of community, a value of each person individually, equality of people. That's part of the reason I wrote this story, is because in the book Saving Skunk, the hero is a medicine woman, and Ira Isham related how even women could become very powerful in terms of being part of the Medeawin society. So after authenticating this with other sources, it seemed fitting to use that motif of a powerful woman in the story to represent some of the important values of Anishinaabe culture. As a physician, I was very interested in the way that the Anishinaabe used various plants for medicinal purposes. It has been proven that many of the plants that they did use do in fact have the medicinal purposes that they intended. Of course, the Medeawin Society was focused not just on physical ailments, such as treating diarrhea and fever, which are noted in Saving Skunk and also in Releasing Lisa, but the Medeawin Society was very interested in psychological diseases such as depression and anxiety problems that people had, and they used dancing, drums, music, singing to treat those kinds of problems. So the books emphasize the fact that it's not just physical ailments that the medicine is for, but it's also for the psychological and spiritual problems that people exhibited as well. The first novel, Saving Skunk, the impact is clearly about forgiveness. The person involved in the modern part of the novel has a lot of problems with her peers, with other people in her school, and as you follow Heidi's life, you see that this evolves into learning how to forgive by going through the process of becoming a medicine woman. In the historical part of Saving Skunk, of course, the destroyers are killing Basi's people. And so the parallel is that by forgiving those people and learning about this other culture, she's able to make a peace between the two tribes. And in fact, this is part of the story, the legend that goes back before European contact, that there was a woman in the legendary tales that provided a peace between the Anishinaabe and the Sioux tribe. So that's where this concept comes from of forgiveness. In the book Releasing Lisa, on the other hand, it's more about the healing of a person who struggles so much with her learning disability and with the deficits that she has in terms of feeling like she doesn't belong in her own family. And then Heidi, the main character from the first book, meets her in college and helps her overcome those struggles, helps her see herself for who she is, helps her to accept the problems that she has and rise above those problems to become a person who can overcome not only her own problems, but she's able, in the end of the book, to teach other people how to overcome their struggles. I have been surprised with some of the responses that people have read the book. Most people have developed a new appreciation, insight for Anishinaabe culture, which I'm very pleased about. I did have the wife of a medical student complain that there was too much sex and violence in the book, but if you read through the history carefully, especially of the French voyageurs, society at the time of European contact had a lot of violence in the culture, and I was trying to portray that as well in terms of the reader understanding the struggles that the main character in the historical part, Basi, is overcoming. The sequel to that, Releasing Lisa, people have really enjoyed for a number of reasons I didn't anticipate. Several people have told me that they really appreciate Releasing Lisa because it helped them as mothers understand their daughters. I didn't anticipate that reaction. I do have a reader in Wisconsin that I've never met that goes over my books and sends me a review of my books. And his first comment about releasing Lisa is that it was intense. Subsequently, many people have said that they just couldn't stop reading it because it was one problem after another. In fact, one reader buttonholed me at work and said, if I had been Lisa, I would have just laid down and died. I did have some readers that met me in the parking lot that I didn't even know very well, and they, this man who had read the book was so enthralled with Lisa, and he said, that's the kind of woman I'd like to know. So some of these aspects, of course, I did anticipate in terms of Lisa being a very strong-willed person who, even though she had a learning disability, had the tenacity to overcome her problems. Some of these other things that readers have gotten out of the book I did not anticipate, but it's been very gratifying.